Who are the most notorious criminals of all time? This question sparks intrigue, a chilling fascination that draws us into the darker shades of human nature. Today, we delve into the lives of 10 such individuals whose names have become synonymous with infamy. From the chilling charisma of serial killers to the ruthless reign of drug lords, their actions have left an indelible mark on history. We'll be exploring the twisted minds of these individuals, their heinous crimes, and the shocking stories behind their rise and fall. We'll discover how these individuals wielded their power, manipulated others, and evaded capture for so long. This is a journey into the heart of darkness, into the lives of those who've earned their place in the annals of criminality. So brace yourself and let's dive into the dark world of these infamous criminals. Our journey begins with America's charming nightmare, Ted Bundy. Born in the mid-20th century, Bundy was an enigma wrapped in a paradox. He was a man of intellect, possessing a degree in psychology, and an almost hypnotic charm. Yet, beneath this veneer of normality lurked a monster. During the 1970s, Bundy used his charisma to lure unsuspecting young women into his grasp, only to unleash his murderous intent. He confessed to 30 homicides, but the real number remains unknown. Bundy was no ordinary killer. He was a necrophile, adding another layer of horror to his crimes. His charm was his most potent weapon, allowing him to hide in plain sight and making him one of the most notorious serial killers in American history. Even in court, his charisma was palpable, drawing in spectators and creating a media circus. Bundy's charm made him a deadly predator, a wolf in sheep's clothing. Next, we step back to the foggy streets of 1888 London with Jack the Ripper. This shadowy figure haunts the annals of crime, his true identity a mystery that has captivated and puzzled investigators for well over a century. His heinous acts were marked by a chilling precision, targeting the vulnerable women of London's Whitechapel district. His gruesome methods, brutal and yet calculated, shook Victorian society to its core. Despite the best efforts of the London police and countless amateur sleuths, the Ripper's identity remains elusive. Many theories have been proposed, attributing the crimes to various suspects from butchers and physicians to royals and even women, yet none have been proven conclusively. The Ripper's legacy is a chilling reminder of human capacity for evil, his name synonymous with unsolved crime. Even after more than a century, Jack the Ripper's identity remains shrouded in mystery. From the foggy streets of London, we travel to the roaring 20s in America with Al Capone. This notorious gangster's rise to power was fueled by the Prohibition era, where he capitalized on the nation's thirst. Bootlegging, gambling, and a host of other criminal activities were Capone's bread and butter. His ruthless tactics and shrewd business acumen allowed him to build an empire out of illegal alcohol. His operation was so extensive that he was said to have had the Chicago police and city officials in his pocket. Despite his criminal lifestyle, Capone was somewhat of a public figure, known for his flashy suits and generous donations to charity. However, it was his violent streak that earned him his infamous nickname, Scarface. That, coupled with the St. Valentine's Day massacre, which left 7 rival gang members dead, cemented his reputation as a ruthless mob boss. Capone's reign during the Prohibition era marked him as one of America's most notorious gangsters. Now let's fly south to Colombia with the king of cocaine, Pablo Escobar. Escobar's reign over the Medellin cartel was marked by an iron fist and an unquenchable thirst for power. His empire, built on the back of the international cocaine trade, was a testament to his cunning and ruthlessness. His vast smuggling operations stretched from the jungles of South America to the streets of the United States, turning the white powder into green dollars at an unimaginable scale. It's said that at the height of his power, Escobar's cartel was smuggling 15 tons of cocaine every day, earning him a place on Forbes' list of global billionaires, not once but 7 times. But with great power comes great enemies. His wealth and influence made him a target, both at home and abroad. From rival cartels to government agencies, many sought to end his reign. Escobar's ruthless ambition led to his rise and fall as the world's most powerful drug lord. Back to America during the Great Depression, we meet the infamous bank robber John Dillinger. This audacious criminal was something of a paradox, a villain to some, a hero to others. Dillinger's high-profile heists were the stuff of legend, carried out with a brazen audacity that left law enforcement officials in a constant state of frustration. He wasn't just a thief, he was an escape artist, slipping through the fingers of justice time and time again. His daring jailbreaks only added to the growing myth of John Dillinger, the man who seemed untouchable. But it wasn't just his crimes and escapes that drew attention. Despite his criminal deeds, Dillinger's larger-than-life persona made him a captivating figure, a symbol of defiance in the face of authority. Dillinger's audacious crimes and daring escapes cemented his place in the annals of American crime history. Into the heat of the 1960s, we encounter the cult leader Charles Manson, a man whose charisma and twisted ideology led to one of the most shocking crime sprees in American history. Manson, with his wild eyes and hypnotic presence, manipulated his followers, who became known as the Manson family, into a life of crime and violence. His belief in helter-skelter, an apocalyptic race war he believed was imminent, drove him and his followers to commit a series of gruesome murders. The most infamous of these were the Tate LaBianca murders, where 7 people were brutally killed over 2 consecutive nights in Los Angeles. The victims included actress Sharon Tate, who was 8 months pregnant at the time. Manson's name became synonymous with evil, his crimes a chilling testament to the power of manipulation and the dark corners of the human psyche. Manson's delusions and the horrific crimes he orchestrated shocked the world. Now we delve into the dark mind of Jeffrey Dahmer. A name that sends shivers down the spine, Dahmer was an American serial killer who committed unspeakable atrocities. Between 1978 and 1991, he murdered and dismembered at least 17 young men and boys. Dahmer also indulged in cannibalism, a horrifying aspect of his crimes that shocked the public to its core. His descent into darkness was marked by an insatiable lust for control, a desire to possess his victims entirely. This led him to not just kill, but cannibalize, an act that is universally reviled and feared. His actions were a stark reminder that monsters do exist not just in stories, but in real life. His chilling crimes were laid bare during his trial, revealing a man who, in his own twisted way, was trying to keep his victims with him forever. Dahmer's horrific crimes sent chills down the spine of the world. From individual horror, we move to mass terror with Osama Bin Laden. Born into affluence, Bin Laden traded his silver spoon for a life shrouded in violence, extremism, and terror. As the leader of Al-Qaeda, he orchestrated some of the most devastating acts of terrorism the world has ever seen. The most infamous of these was the September 11, 2001 attacks in the United States, where nearly 3,000 innocent lives were lost. These attacks weren't just a strike against the United States, but a blow to humanity as a whole. His network of terror reached across continents, leaving a trail of destruction and fear. His charisma and ideological manipulation drew countless followers, making Al-Qaeda a global threat. This reign of terror was not without consequence. Osama bin Laden was eventually neutralized by United States Navy SEALs during a covert operation on May 2, 2011. The operation, codenamed Operation Neptune Spear, was conducted by the U.S. military's elite Naval Special Warfare Development Group, DEVGRU, commonly known as SEAL Team 6. The operation took place in Abbottabad, Pakistan, where bin Laden was hiding in a compound. Next, we explore the life and crimes of Aileen Wuornos. Born into a world of hardship and abuse, Wuornos was destined for a troubled life. As a young woman, she turned to prostitution to survive, her world a far cry from the picturesque Florida landscape. Yet, it was here, under the sweltering sun, that she committed heinous acts that would etch her name into criminal history. Between 1989 and 1990, Wuornos murdered 7 men, claiming each time it was self-defense against attempted rape. Her victims were all men who had solicited her services as a prostitute, their fates sealed on desolate Florida highways. Her story quickly caught the media's attention, a woman predator in a world accustomed to male serial killers. Her trial was a media spectacle, her troubled past laid bare for public consumption. Despite her claims of self-defense, Wuornos was convicted and sentenced to death. Wuornos's troubled past and violent crimes made her one of America's most notorious female serial killers. Finally, we end our journey with the enigmatic Zodiac Killer. Emerging from the shadows of Northern California in the late 60s and early 70s, this unidentified serial killer left a chilling mark on criminal history. His modus operandi was as peculiar as it was terrifying. He would brutally murder his victims, then taunt law enforcement and the media with cryptic letters and ciphers. These communications, a macabre mix of bragging and challenge, were not just a testament to his audacity, but also a puzzle that remains unsolved. Despite the best efforts of determined detectives, his complex ciphers have largely defied decoding, leaving his true identity shrouded in mystery. This enigmatic figure who seems torn from the pages of a thriller is a stark reminder of the dark depths of human capability. To this day, the Zodiac Killer's identity remains unknown, adding to his mystique and infamy. From charming serial killers to ruthless drug lords, these criminals have left their dark mark on history. Ted Bundy, with his deceptive charm and brutal violence, Jack the Ripper, whose identity remains a mystery after haunting London in the late 1800s, and Al Capone, the infamous gangster who ruled the Prohibition-era streets. We delved into the empire of Pablo Escobar, the audacious escapades of John Dillinger, and the apocalyptic cult of Charles Manson. We recoiled at the horrors committed by Jeffrey Dahmer, felt the global terror induced by Osama Bin Laden, and explored the life of Waros, one of America's most notorious female serial killers. And who could forget the enigma of the Zodiac Killer, a specter who taunted law enforcement and the public with his cryptic messages. These notorious criminals, with their chilling deeds and lasting legacies, continue to intrigue, horrify, and remind us of the darkest corners of humanity. These notorious criminals have left a chilling legacy that continues to intrigue and horrify us to this day. If you want to see more awesome videos like this, be sure to subscribe and hit the like button.